start. So what we do is, we'll try to make this one as interactive as possible. And as this is our first session, we're going to learn, right? Of course, it's going to be a learning process. So what I will do, Arun, kind of give you 5 minutes to introduce yourself, okay? And thereafter, I have prepared a couple of questions for you, around uh, around your journey. So, and I'm sorry for not giving this question well advanced. It's not very difficult, but I will try to ask those questions, and we'll keep like last 10 minutes for for any kind of Q&A, so our people able to ask any questions, or just feel free to ask any question in between if you feel like, okay, you wanted to know more about that particular topic. Okay, so let me start introducing myself. So hello everyone, this is Navneet. uh, I'm a, a so-called admin of your IT resource group, and so thanks being an awesome member of that particular group. So the idea was having that IT group so we all can help each other, uh, you know and learn from each other. So without any further ado, what I will do is, like, I will hand over to Arun and ask him to introduce himself, and thereafter, after his introduction, we'll start our Q&A round. Okay, sounds good, Arun?
Sounds great. In fact, Navneet, I have a small slideshow prepared, so I can just skip through some of those slides and use that for introducing myself. So it'll be
Perfect.
easier for everybody to, go along with that. How do I share my screen? Okay, there, share. Cool. Let's get started. So thanks for the introduction, Navneet. Any meeting, I like to start with some kind of quick tip. Today's quick tip, I was thinking about the business buy and sell website. There is so much, because of coronavirus, so much is going on in the market. This website is something really cool to check out. There's so much businesses that is actually available in the market to be bought. It's sad, but it's a reality, but something interesting for entrepreneurs who are looking for something to get themselves into. Okay. With that, introducing myself. My name is Arun. 13 plus years of data experience writing SQL queries. I'm the data dude. The reason I say data dude is because anytime when there are discussions happening at my clients, business or organization, anything involves data, they like to call the data dude, and that's me. So as soon as data comes in, I usually gets dragged into the meeting. So I'm the data dude for the last 13 years for some of my clients in Orange County and San Diego. So this session, my original plan was to walk through the journey from an engineer who is writing SQL queries to someone who is selling SQL for business. But I think Navneet has a better plan, so I will follow his strategy on answering some of his questions that might be more valuable. So go ahead.
Yeah, so that was my first question. Why can't you just tell about your journey being a software engineer, or kind of data dude, to become an independent consultant and running your own company, and what we can learn from you. So why can't you just and definitely love to know about the challenges which you have faced, and kind of what motivate you to doing this thing. So if you just kind of give us a background.
Sure. So before I explain how I got here, I think I should explain what what the company that I own, who are the people involved, what do we do. I did mention we do SQL, but there is a lot more than me who is involved in this company. I don't know if you guys can see the screen clearly. I have the camera on this left-hand side.
No,
Okay,
it is.
let me move it
Yeah,
there.
it's visible.
Awesome. So these are some of the most important people in this company. My company's name is UTIS. I'm a data guy, but not that creative in coming up with names when I originally started in 2011. This is the best I could do. But now UTIS is familiar among my clients, and it's a data terminology among my clients now. Calling the UTIS for anything related to SQL. So what is UTIS? UTIS involves, of course, myself, but these are the people who are the main superheroes of UTIS. I'm not going to dive detail into their background, but other than that, everybody's background is SQL. They are either solution architects, cloud solution architects, data ETL experts, analytical experts, and all that. The common theme in everybody that is involved in my company is that nobody is at the beginning stage of their career, or they are at the trying to build their career or anything. They're pretty much at the prime stage of their career. Usually we go in to clients where they are, we are ready to kick ass. At this point, we are not trying to figure out how something in SQL works or how something in a technology works. We usually go in for a specific niche, that is SQL, and we focused heavily in that SQL part, that domain. So anything related to SQL, we go in and take care of it. And these are the people who builds, UTIS team. Now you were asking me about the journey, right? Okay, I'll try to make it fast and keep it less boring for people who might not be that interested about all these details. So like everybody, you have to start somewhere. My first job was at Kelley Blue Book as a SQL engineer. But how did I get myself into my first job, right? So my background, I didn't come to US for masters or what is that, through H1 or anything. We did a family-based immigration. So it was a green card processing, and we reached US with green card. Like, oh, that's awesome, right? Solve the H1 problem. We didn't have to go through all those difficulties. It gave me new sets of problems. H1 processing, or if you're coming here for masters, you suddenly have a career path. Even though it's long and difficult, there is a path you actually follow. Suddenly I am in this country without any plan. It's like, okay, where do I find my first job? That was the first challenge to solve. My background was in mechanical engineering, and with zero experience in India, once you come to US, how do you find your first job? Small dreams are a crime, right? So I was applying for NASA, I was applying for General Motors, all the fancy names in the list. Soon to realize no one is really interested in hiring someone who finished his bachelor's in India, have zero experience, and is applying for all the fancy companies. Anyways, so joined the local grocery store. That's my first job. So doing nighttime stocking and packing and all that, while still keep applying for jobs. That's when a consulting firm in San Diego reached out saying, hey, we saw SQL in your resume. Do you know SQL? SQL was a skill I went for training in college between between a weekend class where I didn't have anything to do for 3 hours. Little did I know that will become a career-defining course. But anyways, long story short, this San Diego company hired me, brought into San Diego, trained me, and sent me to my first gig at KBB. The best part of joining or the first job is that you don't know much how to do the gig, right? That's the best part. And the people most of the time is very interested in explaining to you, walk you through how to do stuff. I was very lucky in getting a very strong, cool, folks of engineers around me who were ready to invest in me and train me. Now, interesting thing is, most of these people in this list are from my first job. These were the people who either I reported to in my first job, who are the people who were trying to teach me how to write SQL, who were like guiding me through the process, later pretty much said, okay, we know what you do, we trust you. I'm interested in joining your company. But anyways, that's how that team came together. So KBB, full-time job. It was interesting to the point where the mentor, the team lead who left KBB, who went to his next company, Inside Imaging, he picked up the phone and said, "Hey Arun, I know you are good at SQL. Why don't you come and join my team?" So as soon as he asked me, I just quit KBB and joined him at this next gig. And while me and my mentor was just building data warehouse and everything in this new company, we just started calling people from KBB. Hey, do you want to join us? We are doing some fun stuff in Inside Imaging. So slowly, within a month, we pretty much got the entire data warehousing team at KBB follow us into Inside Imaging. So we are talking about 20 people resigning and joining to the other company. And later we came to realize, holy shit, Inside Imaging is filing bankruptcy. This is the recession time after 2008, where companies are filing bankruptcy and going out of business. That was
And
yeah, go ahead.
so, Arun, like this really interesting slide you have showing here. So I was about to ask a question here. So you said like, okay, 2008, and we all know, even I have started my career in 2008, 2009, and back in India, and that was a recession. And I can only relate, like, going into interview and standing almost for 2 hours, and and that to be like very, very substandard jobs. So how can you draw a comparison, right? 2008, 2010 period when we were having recession, and now we are almost in heading towards recession. And what you can tell to the new college grads, or the guys looking for a job, or with 1 year, couple of year of experience, what message you have for them, and how they can shape their career during this time of downturn?
Good question. The best part of okay, I'm going to focus on my experience with IT. The best part of IT is that it's almost recession proof, right? This is one of the sections of the industry where people are still working from home, even when all the other industries are shutting down. Doesn't matter which industry you're at, your company shuts down, you'll get laid off. That's true. But being in software, it's easier to switch between jobs. But now let's talk about a person who is new, right? Who's trying to get into his first job or her first job. That's always the tricky part. From my experience, something that helped me in 2008 to get into my first job was knowing the latest and greatest. There's always a demand. Even if you're a junior, someone who is starting out, who has zero experience, but if you are trained or if you have exposure to the latest and greatest, people are ready to take the risk and hire you. The best things to focus on is not the money when you're starting out the career, it's about the opportunity. Building your resume, right? The companies that you worked at, companies like Amazon, or get yourself Apple or Google in your resume. The rest of the career path becomes so much easier. As soon as a recruiter sees some of these popular names in your resume, it becomes so much easier for them to say, oh, I think this person might be good. So finding opportunities that are career defining and putting them into your resume makes it so much easier. So a few things I'll say: get yourself trained in something latest and greatest that is in high demand. Makes it so much easier for you to get yourself into the market. Second, don't care much about the compensation for the first few years. Look for opportunities that can define your resume, makes it easier in your long run. Yeah, those are the things I would recommend.
Yeah, so definitely. And one more thing, can you highlight? So you have mentioned about being in first job and getting as a mentor, which eventually joined you in your UTIS journey. So how can you if you can just bring some light there, like, okay, how important to have a mentor in your life, and how can being a mentor in your life provide you guidance.
True. This mentorship, I think, is one of the key part of career building. Most people don't even consider that. It's easy to just go by day, learn your skill, and just move on, right? Um, and by the end of 10 years or 15 years, now you're a senior engineer, but you're still taking your quiet, sweet time to climb up the corporate ladder. You have to learn all the mistakes yourself. The mentorship program, I know from my experience, is like a shortcut to climb up the ladder sooner and faster. In my experience, even from my first job, KBB, when I started working there's three mentors that I went through. And the first person helped me build my SQL knowledge, how to work with business and understanding their requirements and all that. So communication, which is very simple but powerful. The you know, but the funny part is I didn't know I was getting mentored because I didn't go up to him and ask him to mentor me. He's just randomly decided to help me. But then realize that someone trying to guide you through makes a huge difference. So the second time around, I did go and find my mentor and said, can you help me understand consulting? So the second person who was in KBB was a consultant. He said, Arun, why do you want to consider full-time jobs? You have green card. You don't have to stick to an employment. These are the benefits of doing consulting. And all the things that this person explained to me became very evident at the recession time, because after the second job, when I got laid off, I was like, okay, I need to call this mentor and ask him how to start a company, what is involved in registering a business. He mentored me through that, and I registered my corporation in 2011. I would have taken maybe 10 years to get to registering my own corporation and setting up a business, learning how to do all this thing, if it was not by the mentorship I did. So within 2 years, I was running a business after starting my career. So mentorship is something very important. Go just simply ask a person who is working with you, who can be a director, a VP, could be the CEO of the company itself. Many times they are very open to just giving mentorship program and guiding you through the process.
Perfect. Yeah, because I can totally relate to it. Like, mentor is definitely helpful. And if you're listening, right? So and if you're starting your career, so just think of finding someone mentor. And let me tell you, mentor should not be like, okay, the guy with all super awesome knowledge, and he should be like holding any position. Mentor can be your friend as well. Mentor can be your colleague as well. Mentor can be your next reporting manager as well. So just try to see if you're able to find someone as a mentor and start your career. And if you're a new college grad or just looking for a job, uh, you have talked about having proper resume in place. uh, what do you mean by like having proper resume in place? What you look, I mean, now you are having like running your own company. So if you have to hire some fresher, what actually you look on your resume, on the resume of a fresher?
Resume of a fresher. So we go through so much different skill set. It's a little bit difficult to answer that question. But let's take an example of a SQL engineer who we are going to hire. Um, it's basically you'll be scanning through a few hundred resumes in 10 minutes. You know, it's what I run is a very small shop still. So if I'm going to spend an hour scanning through resumes, that means that's an hour that I'm not spending building my business with my clients. So I'm going to just allocate 10 to 20 minutes to scan through a few hundred resumes and pick out the right ones that I'm going to call. So in that 10 minutes, I need to do keyword search, right? I'm going to open up LinkedIn and just search for all the local people in Orange County who have this specific skill. I know this particular project, I need this particular skill, and I'm going to look for them. Most probably LinkedIn is, I'm not talking about resume per se at this point because it's LinkedIn, right? I'm not scanning through monster.com or any of those older websites at this point because that's where I would have got resumes. At this point, I'm making my life easier and going to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn just suddenly returns me 10,000 people in Orange County who can do T-SQL and SSIS. Oh my God, it's just not going to save me time. Need to further fine tune. I'm going to, at this point, plug in a domain, which is real estate or some kind of medical device. Okay, at this point, it just suddenly shrink from 10,000 to 200 resumes. Okay, there are 200 resumes now I need to go through. I still don't have time to go through 200 resumes. I need to further bring it down. So here I'm adding more and more keywords to my search and bringing it down to 20 people or 30 people. So what I'm trying to say is making sure these keywords are in your profile is very important. Because if you haven't taken out the time to plug in these keywords, which defines which industry you work in, the keywords that defines your technology, the chances are you're going to get filtered out. The market is so already filled with so many people, even if I missed a really good person, as a recruiter, I'm still going to find someone else who is going to be able to do the job. So keywords, is very important. And then I will be sorting it by a fully prepped profile. Most probably LinkedIn itself is going to sort it for me with a fully prepared profile. Out of that, I'm just going to start reaching out people who has a phone numbers listed and just talk to them.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. So what I will do is like I will take a pause and uh, let this kind of open for audience. So if any of you have any questions, feel free to mute yourself. Sorry, unmute yourself and ask a question to Arun.
Hi, Naveed, this is Manik. I have a question.
Go ahead, Manik. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe Arun or any one of you can answer this. So my first question is, so for someone who's like quite new to the United States, I've been working for almost 3 years now. I've been doing more of consulting, contracting work, working through different vendors or for different clients, big clients. So I wanted to know, for someone like me, what would be the path of having or starting your own organization or consulting, contracting through my own organization, and when should I be taking that step? Would that be something when I have a more stable visa situation, as I'm on a student visa currently, or would you recommend, going a different route, or would you recommend not doing at all? So that's my first question, and I have another question. I'll wait for that.
Sure. I can try to answer that. With the student's visa, you are going to run into some challenges. The advantage I had was the green card that I had give me the freedom to start the business and not worry about ever having to find an employer who will renew and file for my H1. There is a solution for it. You can find a US citizen or someone who can do all this thing, and you can join that company. But ultimately, you need a stable employer who will get you through the process of H1 into green card. So finding a person who could file a company and working in that company is like a really risky proposition. It's a solution, but it's really risky. So my recommendation would be to wait until you have a green card or citizenship in hand. And at that point, it's going to be a very easy process. Quick note on how, what you need to do. You don't even need to have an office. the corporation to register will take, $250, $300. Go to LegalZoom. You can register a company within 2 weeks. If you fast forward through the process, if you take the longest route, maybe a month and a half, you will have the company registered. At that point, it's all about marketing. How do you find clients, and how do you get out there and start billing? And if you're trying to just do marketing of yourself, which if you look at my timeline on the screen, I was just doing from 2011 all the way to 2016, I think, I was just doing one-man show. It was just me. So you don't even need to market through anything else than just posting your resume on different job portals. They'll just simply hire you.
Got it. And my second question was kind of follow up, like every 6 months or a year, you find yourself, especially in contracting world, looking for a different client because of several reasons. So how do you build your network so strong that you don't have to find these contract gigs through, LinkedIn or Indeed, or, every time that your project is going to end in 2 weeks, that's the maximum you get. At times they just call you and say, hey, tomorrow your project is going to end. So how do you build your network so strong that you don't be dependent on job portals or maybe LinkedIn looking for a new gig?
There are a few methods I use, and Navneet or anybody else can answer this too. I can start off with my experience. So it doesn't matter, even if it is contracting, even if it is full-time job, when you're working at a company, you have year-round opportunity for networking, right? Everybody is so focused on working, but they forget to network. You are already in a big organization. You should be able to, at this point it's difficult to go out on lunch or dinner with your coworkers, but what I used to do was year round, I'll be planning for lunch meetings with my directors, my managers from other departments, people I have anything to do with, but I have lunch meetings planned with them year round. So once I finish every director and manager I can find, I have circled it again. So by the time I finish a year or two in a company, I have a very good network of people at that point. This is the reason I said it's not related to even consulting. As a full-time employee, you can do this thing too. Then you reach out to other companies you work, people that they know. And this lunch meetings, you don't need to be fully, it's just not talking about Azure or AWS. You're just talking about life. You're just making friends. By the end of the 5th year, 6th year of doing this thing, you already have a solid network of people that can easily land you new contracts, new gigs, just with a simple shout out. I just maintain just few hundred people in my network. I always have gigs lined up months ahead of time. This is one way of doing it. Of course, if once you build your business into a few $1 million business, you can get proper marketing people involved. I know that's not what you're looking for. You're trying to see how, as a one-man show or a beginner, how you market yourself. I think this kind of networking is the best way to go.
Okay,
thank you.
So with the interest of time, right, I will allow 2 more questions. So guys, if you have any question to ask.
Hi, this is Parul. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so just to add to what Arun said, Manik, as a recruiter, I just wanted to tell you that, it's a good idea to build a network of recruiters also. So, like from my experience, I know that if I come across a good candidate, even if I'm not able to place him immediately, I still keep a database of my good candidates, which I keep in mind if any requirement comes, which matches the technology that they're working on. So I think when you are working on something, you can always update your resume. Firstly, keep updating the resume as you work on a technology. And good idea to send it to a few recruiters that you trust, who will not bother you unless you approach them, you know. So so that if you come to know that your job is ending maybe in a couple of weeks or so, you can quickly shoot an email to them and see if they have something available to you for you. So that is something that I would expect my good candidates to do for me. And definitely we are here to provide you service. So, you know, if we have something available, a good recruiter will always try to place you whenever you need to.
Understood. Thank you, Parul.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's a good point. The recruiter has already done the heavy lifting, right? You don't have to recreate the recruiter's job yourself. But yeah, it's all different strategies.
Perfect, perfect. So anyone have any last question? So anyways, so this is going to be my last question, and thereafter we end this session. So you have just bring this very beautiful slide, interview tip. Why can't you just walk us through and you know, just give us some insight here?
Sure. Okay, so these are some of the things I noticed that usually helps with interviews. You know, when you're attending more than one interview in a day, this becomes a little bit difficult, but try to get a good understanding of people who are going to interview you. You know, you can tailor your answers that can be easy for them to understand. So learn more about your interviewers. You can talk to your recruiter about that and they can get you up to speed. Also get to know who the CEO is and any latest news articles about the company. That usually helps. Now, the third point, listen and take few seconds to process the question. I can't stress the importance of this particular topic enough. People are so, you know, jumpy or so ready to answer the question. They never process it. They are so eager to answer. They don't process the full depth of the question, and they just start rambling their answer, and there's not enough clarity about what you're trying to answer either. So take your time, avoid rambling, try to answer to the question, and make sure you bring your conversation back to where you started. Now, many times they'll be asking you questions like, you know, technologies that you don't know about. It's okay to clearly tell them that you don't know that technology. You'll be interested in learning. You know, you don't have to lie about it. Many times, a listener is someone who has interviewed so many people. I can tell this guy just saying, yeah, I know this thing. But you can tell this guy could be lying. Then you start drilling into that, and then you figure out that, okay, this person doesn't know. That itself just ruins the first impression. So it's okay to say, no, I don't know it, but you're willing to learn. And I always try to hire the right personality fit that I can work with than hire a person who is so good at that particular technology. I know training a person who is open to learning and who I can work easily with, interacting with, who I can manage easily. I would rather hire that person, even if he is not that great at that particular technology. Training that person might take a few months, but you know, lack of a better word, a difficult asshole person that I hire who is such an amazing expert in machine learning on something new, I won't be able to deliver results to my client with that person. So I will usually end up having to let him go. So that's what about the can I manage the resource? Have some good questions ready for the interviewers. And to a recruiter, make sure you ask how many people are going to interview you, or how many people have interviewed already, so you can gauge whether they're going to be interested. They're trying to make a decision at this point, or they're going to take a long time before they'll make a decision because they just got started. You can easily ask them what did they like in the people they already interviewed and what they didn't like. This gives you a good insight about what they don't like and what they like, so you can tailor some of your conversations in that manner. And recruiter sometimes might not be thinking about all this because he or she is so busy assigning people to all these different positions. But when you stop and ask these questions, she or he might get back to you with a proper guidance. Ask about key focus on the interview, what were the interviewers focusing on, and the overall work culture. So yeah, that's all I have.
Right. Yeah, Miss, I will emphasize something on that at the last point, like around the work culture. So knowing that work culture of a company is very important, and nowadays, like we have a lot of reviews. So just go and read about the work culture of that particular company. It will give you good insight about how company as a company behave, right? As an individual, we carry our own brand. As same in the similar way, a company also carry its own brand. So having said that, thank you everyone for joining, and thank you, Arun,
Thank you.
giving your time and
My pleasure.
talking. Yeah. See you soon. Next. Bye, guys. Take care.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Arun and
Looking forward to the
Navneet.
next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.